everyone. This is Mike.
And this is Josh.
And we are real dead.
Yes, we are, Mike. Today we're doing it's not appreciated enough, in my opinion, that you don't hear a lot about it. Well, there's been 50 million movies. I think that doesn't help. But we are covering 1981's Halloween 2. It is very good, in my opinion. Very, very good, Mike.
Yeah, I think it's a lot better than what the critics hate it. And I think even John Carpenter really didn't want to do it. And a lot of rumors out that he was drunk when he wrote it. Him and Deborah Hill and him wrote it. And he was half drunk when he wrote the script for it. But I like it. I know there's some mistakes in it. Going back and looking at it now, from 40 some years ago, but I think it holds up. I still like it. And Dick Warlock, to me he may be the best Michael Myers. I mean, he does that good of a job in it.
Yes, I think for the ones that we've watched the new trilogy where it was James Jude Courtney. We watched the first one when it was Nick Castle and I think somebody else too, right? Or was it just Nick Castle?
Well, they had like a stunt guy in there as well, but mostly it was Nick Castle.
Right. So out of those ones that we've reviewed here, Dick Warlock is the best Michael Myers out of those. Now, I can't judge later installments or anything, but out of those, Dick Warlock is an excellent Michael Myers. Not a big man by no means. But
he was similar to Nick Castle size, but the way he takes his time in it, walking,
it's great,
and his mannerisms of Michael Myers is just killer.
Yes,
some of the kill scenes in this one are classic, iconic. So I'm a big fan of his.
Yeah, it really made me want a Dick Warlock autograph now.
Me too. Plus, he's what 80? He's almost 90 years old now, or 90, or.
I think, he's like 85 or 86 or something.
Yeah, he's getting up there in age.
But I definitely want a Dick Warlock autograph. I was scoping them out on eBay. But, what
are they going for right now, Josh?
Huh?
What are they going for?
I think it was like 130, 150, something like that on an autograph pop, which I thought's not bad.
Right.
But let's get to the the score and that thing.
Yeah. So we got here. This is a synopsis of the movie. After failing to kill stubborn survivor Laurie, Jamie Lee Curtis, and taking a bullet or six from former psychiatrist Dr. Sam Loomis, Donald Pleasance, Michael Myers, Jonathan Prince, was followed Laurie to the Haddonfield Memorial Hospital, where she's been admitted for Myers' attempt on her life. The institution proves to be particularly suited to serial killers, however, as Myers cuts, stabs, and slashes his way through hospital staff to reach his final victim. Rated R. Of course, it's a horror movie. Director was Rick Rosenthal. Producer was Deborah Hill and John Carpenter. Writer, John Carpenter and Deborah Hill.
Yep.
And it first started out streaming in 2015, and I think you already mentioned it came out in 1981.
Yes.
And real quick, there's some classic photos of Laurie Strode, and then we go up to the critics, and 33 from the critics with only 48 reviews, which shocks me. Only 48 reviews, and then but audience scores is 63 with over 50,000 people scoring it.
Right.
So that's the audience definitely likes it more.
That's still not that high, in my opinion.
I don't think so.
No. To me, this rivals the first one, in my opinion. In a lot of ways, it really does. And I like that it takes place literally right after the first one. I like that a lot. The music is still pretty good in this, in my opinion. I still like a lot. Very good atmosphere. I think people don't like that it takes place at the hospital, Mike. I think people don't like that. I don't mind that at all. I think it's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, I don't mind it at all either.
Right. And yeah, I wrote some things here. I wrote that Dick Warlock was 5'9" in this movie, and he actually had to wear shoe lifts to appear a little taller. That's what I read in this one thing. So I like Loomis in this movie. He's really good again. One thing that I want to talk about that happens early on, I like the opening. The opening's cool. The opening is really cool, Mike. What'd you think of that opening?
Yeah, I love the opening. I think they had a blunder there at the opening where he walks off the back of the deck, and I didn't notice it until people pointed it out to me, and I went back and watched it 2 or 3 times with my wife and my son. Where in the movie he walks off a platform and falls off. He never falls over the banister, and he also was shot 7 times, not 6 times, because I counted them. And I was like, he was shot 6 times in the first one. He shot 7 times here, so a couple blunders up front. But when I watched it originally, I didn't catch it. Wasn't nitpicking it. I didn't capture that.
Right.
I love how Loomis goes down, reaches the ground, pulls up blood, and he's definitely been shot, because that was what the sheriff was saying is, hey, you just missed him. And I love how he immediately starts walking through the neighborhood.
Yep.
With the point of view through his mask, and he goes and visits a couple of people.
Right. Mike, did you see this one in the theater in 81?
No, I did not. Mm-mm.
Okay, yeah. See, my memories of this movie was growing up watching it on AMC on their Fear Fest. And this movie was on a lot in the 90s. And I think I watched, again, just like Chucky 2, just like Friday the 13th Part 3. And this movie, for whatever reason, is a movie I seen a ton of as growing up, along with those movies. So, yeah, I watched this a lot growing up. So I think that's why I have more of a connection to this than the original, just because I watched this a lot growing up on TV. So, of course, I didn't get to see all of some of the kills and stuff. I felt like they tried to make him more non-human in this movie than they did in the first one.
Yeah.
In this movie, they really tried to emphasize, he's, got the darkness in him, or whatever they said is, and they said, like, he's not human. He's morphed into something more than a man. I think Loomis said that. I'm not sure. They didn't really give any example why that happened. I mean, he got shot and he lived, but
Loomis said, I shot him 6 times. I shot him in the heart. He's not human.
Right. So they definitely tried to do that in this one, which I think is okay, but I'm not 100% sure if I like that as well. I did like all the news reports that people in people's homes when he was going through the homes and like at the bar and different things, where there was like news reports of what was going on from the first movie. And I thought that was really cool. That added a cool feel to the movie, I thought. Mike,
I hated his first kill in this one, though. Anthony goes, God, Dad, that's cheesy. Is when he has the girl in he's in her house and she's talking to a friend on the phone.
Oh, yeah.
He turns the radio up and all of a sudden he jumps up. It's like he's squatting down and he jumps up and kills her. I mean, Anthony's like, God, Dad, that's so cheesy. So that was a pretty bad one in my opinion. But
why didn't he kill those old people that he took the knife from? That's what I was wondering.
Did you notice that was Duke's Mayo? I got my notes right here. I think that was a Duke's Mayo as well in there. That's a tip to the south, even though that happened up in Illinois.
Right.
Looks like Duke's Mayo. But yeah, and he reaches down and gets that knife and his hand's bloody and he leaves the blood, and then the lady comes back, asks her husband if he wanted a ham sandwich, and she touches it and he takes, that's where he gets his knife from. But
yeah.
I don't know why he didn't kill them. I don't know. That's interesting.
Yeah, because he doesn't. I mean, he's killed a lot of old people. So
right.
The next thing that I have written here is that he goes to like a school or something for some reason. I can't remember what the reason that was, but he wrote on the chalkboard in blood, Sam Hain, and it's the Lord. I didn't get all the explanation because Loomis sometimes is hard to understand for me because he's like Michael, yeah. But he said Lord of the Dead, and like it's like apparently they're trying to mix this in with his character now. I think all this
comes in when they started mixing this in. They're trying to make him more evil. That's how he can survive the 6 shots. And then they also throw in the whole thing with Lori being his sister too in this one.
Yeah, I did not. That's on my bad list, Mike. That's one thing that I do not like about this movie. Because they retconned it in later installments. They said, no, it's not his sister. In other movies, I think in Halloween H2O, they still said that was his sister. I originally thought that the Halloween H2O was a direct sequel to the first. It's not. It's actually a direct sequel to this one, which I was wrong on that. But yeah, I didn't get all that, Mike. Some of that kind of is like, okay, they're just throwing it in here. You can definitely tell that they kind of did throw some stuff in here that, to try to boost up the lore of Michael Myers. And I don't know. I think it kind of fell flat for me a little bit, Mike. What about you?
Well, I didn't have a problem with the story of, because the whole thing is, why is he trying to kill his family to start with? So, he killed his sister. And this one, you don't see him kill his mom and dad or anything. It's
Right.
It's not like it's a Rob Zombie version of it. But then,
Right.
I could take it either way. It doesn't bother me that Laurie's his half sister or whatever. Either way is fine with me. I don't think it didn't really affect me either way. If I liked it or didn't like it. It does, I think, if you're trying to say he's trying to kill off his family, maybe, I don't know, to keep it in there, but, they're definitely trying to make him more evil and also superhuman in this one, is that he can survive 6-7 shots, one in the head, taking a hanger to the eyeballs. He can take a lot.
So I think we need to talk about. I am looking at my bad list because we've talked a lot of good about this movie. I think we need to talk about one of the most egregious, horrible things in this movie, Mike. It's towards the beginning. Ben Tramer. So
Laurie Strode's supposedly boyfriend who likes her.
So supposedly this guy has the exact same costume on as Michael Myers. He has the same mask with a little bit different hair. It looks more like the mask that they mistakenly put on Michael Myers in like the 5th movie or whatever movie that is.
The blonde one.
Yeah. And he has the jumpsuit on, like the mechanic suit. And he's walking around and they're looking for Michael. They think it's him. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, he's walking across the street and a cop car hits him going about 50 miles an hour and sends him right into a van, and then it just blows up. That's horrible.
The gas tanks on those old vans was in the very back. If you hit them really hard, it'd blow up.
Mike, don't try. It's horrible. That is horrible. You got to admit that.
Yeah. Again, supposedly he wrote this while he was drunk one night. So, what do you expect? It came out a year later.
It's funny as hell when you watch it. It's funny. And then they're just like, oh, well, he's dead now.
Yeah, you knew that wasn't the case.
I thought it was funny. It was funny. But I do love some of the shots in this movie for sure. One of my favorites is where this nurse goes to check on this doctor or whatever, and he has his back turned. He's like looking this way, and she goes to spin him around, and he's got like a knife in his eye or a needle in his eye, and he's dead. And then this room is dark, and then while she's backing up, all of a sudden you just see this white face very lightly, and it's very cool. It's a very cool shot. And then of course he grabs her and kills her. But it's an awesome shot, Mike. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. I really liked that one. That's another classic one. Another one for me is there's a scene one time in the movie where they're looking in a room and you can see behind the white sheet the shadow of Michael Myers behind it. To me, that's kind of a callback to the original, because that's what I loved about the original was sometimes it wasn't so much Michael being in the scene, it was him behind the scene.
Sure.
I do love one of my favorite all-time kills, probably right behind Michael in number 1, where he takes the dude, sticks him up, sticks the knife in him in the kitchen.
Yep.
This one right here with a nurse in the hallway when Laurie Strode's running from him, and he comes in from behind her, stabs her in the back, picks her up.
Yeah.
And then they look down at her feet and her shoes fall off.
Yeah.
That's so creepy, man. I'm getting cold chills thinking about it now. And then Laurie's like looking the whole time at what's going on. I love that kill.
What about the guy that slips in the blood?
Yeah, that's a little bit cheesy. That's a lot of blood to be on that floor. That was like 10 people being killed in there.
Hey, you would have think they would have made a sound that went zoop when he.
Yep.
So the one thing I wrote here is I thought it was cool because that nurse that you described that got killed, she actually was trying to leave, and she noticed in the parking lot that someone had popped all the tires. That means Michael Myers strategically popped all the tires in the parking lot, which I thought was kind of cool that he was thinking. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah, and they try to make him out like he's just this killer. And
hey, so yeah, Laurie kind of is non-existent in this movie. Really, I mean, she's in a hospital bed. She's weak. She does have a little bit of a chase scene in here towards the end, but she really can't move much. Loomis is there really to help her out, which is cool to see. There is another cop that doesn't listen to Loomis. I'm not sure why. He does get his throat slit because of it. But yeah, I mean, it has a cool ending, Mike, in my opinion. It's Loomis and Laurie, and Loomis gets into a fight with Michael Myers. And yeah, like you said earlier, no matter how fast these people are moving, I mean, he's just methodical. And I love that. I
like the way he walks through the hospital too, right through the glass door. I also like when he gets shot and he's laying down, and the other stupid cops trying to mess with him, and he ends up killing him. And then it sets it up. And one thing, going back real quick, I think it is kind of cheesy and corny that you had the horny paramedic that's constantly trying to get the nurse.
Oh yeah.
And then he ends up, another kind of odd thing is the water is supposed to be boiling, and he sticks his hand down in there, and her face is all messed up, but his hand's not messed up.
Right.
But he kills them off. And then this guy who's a paramedic has the hots for Laurie Strode. That's kind of weird. The one that ends up being kind of like a hero in it as well. One that slipped and fell and busted his head in it. But this guy character came out of nowhere, and he's like overly protective of her, wanting to see her while she's, and you never heard his name the whole time about a possible date. He's done graduated,
Yeah. Yeah.
But the very end is cool, I think, and they get him into the hospital, into one of the rooms. They cut the gas on, and Michael Myers is shot in the head. He's got the blood trickling down from his mask, which I love. A lot of people make fun of him swinging with a scalpel, but I love that.
I have that NECA figure, and it looks great with the blood coming down the face. It looks awesome. I agree, Mike. I like that. And then they light him up. I also have that NECA figure where he's lit up on fire. I have the fire effects on it. It looks awesome. And yeah, I mean, it's a great, and like I said, John Carpenter wanted to end it here. And this he's dead. I mean, he's shot in the head twice. He's lit on fire. He is dead. For all intents and purposes, he is dead. And I like that, actually. I like the ending. I like, he's burned up. And yeah, I do like the ending. I think it's good for a final ending. That's what they wanted. Right. And I do have one more complaint. In certain scenes, the mask looks off. I don't know what it is. It looks like, I don't know what it is. Like if it's the hair or what, but something looks off about the mask in certain shots. What do you think about that, Mike?
Yeah, and I also thought in some shots it looks a little lighter than in other shots. I mean, I don't know if that's a film work thing, a shooting and the lighting they had, with what they were dealing with, but it did seem a little bit off. It did. Yep. Still not as bad as the blonde hair in number. Was that 5, 4, 5?
5 or 6? I can't remember, but no, number 4 has I think a pretty bad mask in it. It's like real. You wait till we watch it and review it at some point. It's not great, but it's a good movie for sure. So yeah, what's your rating on this one, Mike? I'm interested to see what you got to say because you're a huge fan of the original.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the original. Still think this one's a little bit behind the original. I do think, and we've talked about doing a video on this, I do think it's one of the better sequels to a movie, an original come out.
Yep.
I would give this one, I've always said 5's average for me. The audience here gave it, what did I say earlier, a 63?
Yep.
I'm going to give this one a 7.
Okay.
In my opinion, a 7 out of 10.
Yep, I'm agree with you, Mike. I'm giving it a 7 as well, and I think nostalgia has to do with that. I might go a little bit lower, probably if I didn't have nostalgia, but for me, it's solid. I can watch it, and it's really good.
Yep. All right, guys, tell us what you think. Halloween 2, did you like it? Did you not? What's your score on it out of 1 through 10? 5 being average. Please like, comment, subscribe, and check us out on Real Dead Horror Community as well on Facebook.
Yes.
Thank you, guys. Hey, Josh,
Bye, guys.
have a good one,
Thank you.
man.
Bye.
All right, bye.